All right, I'll let Coach go ahead and get started talking about Farm Night against Air Force.
Well, just looking forward to playing Air Force. You go back and you watch the last game, you realize that Maldo didn't play, Thompson didn't play, Wenzel didn't play, and Kenny Foster didn't play. So to have four guys back that have, a lot of experience having played against Air Force, I think that's going to help. When you got guys that have guarded, the Princeton offense, they know what it feels like. And even though for the most part, we did a pretty good job, except the second half, we gave up some threes and give them credit for knocking those down. But it's nice knowing that when you watch practice today and getting ready that, you have guys that understand what the other team is trying to do. And just from because Air Force is going to test your discipline and your ability to sustain effort. And right now in league play, they're almost averaging, per possession offensively, it's almost at 21 seconds. And so, they really challenge you to maintain discipline and maintain order. And that's hopefully, it's said with the guys that we have now, their ability to recognize things and their ability to adapt, I think gives us a lot better chance this time around.
That first meeting seemed like it was like a year ago. I mean, I did play, and some other guys that aren't going to play in this game played, and those guys you mentioned didn't play. It's like two different teams.
Yeah, and that's where you really go back and watch, and you take, there's some things you can take away from it from an offensive standpoint, but at the same time, I mean, we're going to be a lot different. And I think the way that we're playing right now, the way we've played over the last couple of games, just our ability to get to the next action, our ability to play off one another. And so just excited to see how it looks different. And knowing too, the last time we played them, we also had an 8-hour ride back from Colorado Springs. So like I said, they've had a tough stretch. If you look, at their record over the course of the last probably 7 or 8 games, but then you look who they've played in the league. I mean, they really have, for the most part, have played the upper half of the league. And in every game with them, it's going to be a grind out affair. And Coach Scott does a really good job with them in terms of, adjusting and adapting. And you can see that, they've been doing that as the conference play has gone on.
How much does Tuesday's win kind of help you just in terms of momentum?
Yeah, I don't think it hurts. I mean, it's a lot better to come practice the next day after a win than it is a loss. But those guys, I mean, it was good for them to feel that, knowing too that with guys playing a lot of minutes. I mean, Maldo playing 40 and knowing that you can give them a day off and knowing that you can come back and it was going to be a short turnaround anyways with Air Force. And sometimes you're better off on a short turnaround, knowing that you can go down a lot of rabbit holes if you want with them. And so just really focus on what's important. And I thought we had a really good practice today in terms of understanding, what we want to try to do against them.
You guys were due lucky. How much of the luxury is attack to me back and probably expecting back from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were assuming that it was going to be this game, but he got clearance that afternoon, and he wants to play, and he's been chomping at the bit to get back, and knowing too that it was going to be probably right where it was going to be probably 3 minutes to 4 minutes a half, and thought that in those minutes he did a really good job. And the funny thing is that it's just shot. I mean, over the last year or so, it's kind of been a little funky and a little inconsistent. And having that surgery done, I mean, his shot looks like it did back, when he was in high school and his freshman year. And so it's a lot more fluid. And he should have almost went. Although he said the second shot he should have counted as half a shot. But hey, I'll take 1 for 2 from him any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
So I actually made a comment, I think, after that UNLV game. He said about playing for the name on the front of the jersey instead of the back. And how important is that mentality for this team?
Well, I mean, that's what's most important about being here. I mean, that's you play for the University of Wyoming, and that's the challenge in this day and age is is finding those players that that understand the importance of that. And right now we got those guys, 10 guys that we have in that locker room right now. I mean, they're playing for the University of Wyoming, but they're also playing for one another. And that's, I said, it's just, it's fun to see. And it's fun to see that. It's good to see, knowing that, what as a coaching staff we've done in the past, that if you do those things and the guys understand that those things are important, then that will lead to winning. Knowing that winning's hard, but winning's also, you can do that if you have the right guys that are giving the right amount of discipline and effort required to win in one of the better leagues in the country.
What kind of challenge is this for the big guys, just guarding the three, avoiding the backdoors?
I mean, you're going to give up a backdoor here and there. You can't overreact. They're a little bit tougher with Becker. I mean, he went 2 for 11 last game at Utah State, but he hurt us on some of the threes, and you got to kind of pick your poison with them. And it's worked in the past, but you just go back, you watch, figure out some things maybe you can do the same, maybe do differently, but you can't say here, hey, we're gonna give away everything. But if you get back cut once or twice, then so be it. But as long as the effort's right, and that's where against New Mexico, I mean, that the effort that we showed in terms of just on the offensive boards and us being able to sustain effort, I mean, that was as good of an effort as I've seen in a long time.
Questions on the computer, Cody?
Jeff, you seemed a lot more calm on Tuesday night. Is that indicative of what was going on in front of your very eyes, or are you in a different place yourself right now?
I gotta turn up the volume a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, since even Boise, I mean, as a coach, when you're not having to coach effort during the game, I mean, you should never have to coach effort, but when you're having to coach effort, I mean, it makes it really hard to focus on some of the things that what's probably makes me really good in terms of just seeing some things within the game, adjustments we can make within the game, matchups we can attack within the game. And it's hard when you're having to try to, I said, when you're coaching effort, which you never should, but, and that's what we've unfortunately had to coach a lot of this year. And, when I know when I walk down that ramp that those guys that we have, that are here now, I mean, those guys, I mean, it's never going to be perfect, but I mean, they're going to die trying. I mean, the effort's going to be there, trying every possession to play at the hardest level they can. I mean, that's what they're going to do. And so, I mean, I can live with the results, win or lose, if the discipline and effort's right. But it just makes it really, as I said, it just makes it a lot easier as a coaching staff when you're not having to coach effort. I mean, it's a liberating feeling.
Jeff, it seems like this team's getting a lot better at the free throw line. Why is that? I mean, can you even coach that kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, it really goes back to who's shooting free throws. I mean, if you got guys that are shooting good free throw shooters, they're going to make free throws. The guys that get to the foul line and they can make free throws, they'll make free throws. And so a lot of it has to do of who's getting to the foul line and who's not. Guy like Brennan Wenzel, Dussel, Maldo for the most part. I mean, those guys that we have, I mean, and that's what makes us harder to guard right now too, is our ability to, with everybody on the floor has the ability to shoot it. Guys are willing to share the ball, get into the next action. And, I thought that, you probably, even Boise, I thought we played well offensively. We just didn't make some shots, but I thought against New Mexico, I mean, it reminded me a lot of some of my UNC teams where, there's the ball movement, player movement. And I think it really helped in a case like a Thompson where, getting to that second or third action with him allowed him to get a lot more cleaner looks. And when he has time and space, he's a really good shooter, but when he gets rushed at all, and then that's a little bit different story. And so I think that's been huge.
You said it's a lot more fun to come to work after a win, but have you noticed any kind of different mood or demeanor out of these guys after that big lift in Albuquerque?
Yeah, no, but they were like that for the Boise, leading up to Boise. That game, I mean, they're excited. I said that, and said their mood, that said, it hasn't changed. I mean, Hunter Maldonado, I mean, as frustrated as he was at certain points. I mean, he just keeps pushing. I mean, and that's what the great thing now is, that you got 10 guys that are all pushing in the same direction. And when that happens, you can get better. And we still got a lot of opportunities left on the schedule in the conference tournament where if we can continue to build off of, the game at New Mexico, I think what we're seeing right now with our league, I mean, anybody can, there's not a lot of separation between the first team and the last team. And so that's where just for us, if we can continue just to keep building, then, hey, we could surprise some people.
Jeff, if at all, how much are you pumping into these guys that they can play this spoiler role? A Utah State, for instance, Nevada's coming to town still. Do you pump that at all?
Yeah, no, I mean, there's obviously, I mean, that's a motivation in terms of, where, the other team knows that too. I mean, coming in and that's where, okay, well, whose level of desperation is going to be higher in terms of finding a way to win the game. And I thought the Boise game, in terms of where you see that, is in the 50-50 plays and those little plays that maybe some people don't see, but probably like with Boise, their effort level, we couldn't match that over the course of 150 possessions. And then if you probably look back at the New Mexico game, New Mexico couldn't match our effort over the course of those 150 possessions. And that's really what it boils down to. And that's where I know with this group of guys we have, I mean, it won't be perfect all the time, but over the course of those 150 possessions, I mean, 140 more so now against Air Force, it probably ends up being 120 possessions. But within those 120, I mean, I know that those guys are going to be, fighting to do the right thing and fighting for each other. And it's fun to sit back and watch as a coach, knowing that.
How do you approach practice with 10 guys and playing on guns?
Well, I mean, this time of season, I mean, it doesn't matter whether if you have 15 guys. I mean, you're not, I mean, to a certain degree, even though I guess you are what you are at this point in time, but I think we are a little bit different in terms of who we have now. And so, but knowing how we can adjust what we do to fit the guys that we do have. And I think that's where you see with, Wenzel, Dussel, Jay, and just a lot more screening off the ball, not as many screens on the ball, and allowing those guys to play more. And knowing too that we're not a team built to just play one-on-one, and that they got to play off of one another and not try to do things that they can't do. And if we do that, we can get great shots, which we have over the course of the last 2 or 3 games.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.